punished for carelessness. The setup, the task. It was a quiet Sunday morning, the kind of morning where the sun spilled gently through the lace curtains of the living room. The ironing board stood ready, and on it lay a shimmering new silk dress. Its fabric was pale lavender, soft and elegant, clearly something that had cost a fortune. Margaret came into the room holding the iron, which she set carefully on its stand. She smoothed the fabric of the dress with her hands, almost as if to remind her daughter how precious it was. "Emily, I need you to iron this for me. I'm wearing it tonight, and it has to look perfect. It's brand new, so you must be careful with it." Emily, 20 and always quick to brush things off, rolled her eyes playfully but smiled. "Relax, Mum. I can handle it. It's just ironing, isn't it?" Margaret gave her daughter one last firm look before leaving the room, the sound of her footsteps fading toward the kitchen. Emily sighed, set the dress flat across the board, and began moving the iron across the delicate silk. The distraction. The first few strokes went smoothly. The steam rose in little clouds, and the lavender fabric gleamed under the hot plate of the iron. Emily hummed to herself, satisfied with the work. Then her phone lit up on the side table, buzzing insistently. Without hesitation, she snatched it up and answered, "Sophie. You'll never guess what happened last night." Her voice brightened, and soon she was laughing, leaning casually against the wall. One hand held the phone to her ear, the other twirled a strand of her brown hair. Her eyes never once glanced back at the iron resting a little too long in the same spot. The silk, fragile and expensive, began to darken under the heat. The smell was faint at first, then sharper, a warning Emily did not notice. The accident. Halfway through a story about Sophie's disastrous date, Emily finally caught a whiff of something acrid. Her laughter faltered. She glanced at the board and her heart stopped. Bono. She dropped the phone onto the table and yanked the iron upright. But it was too late. A dark, ugly brown mark spread across the delicate lavender silk. The fabric was ruined, scorched straight through. Emily panicked, running her fingers over the burn as if she could rub it away. She poured a splash of water over the spot, dabbed it with a towel, even tried smoothing it with the iron again, but the damage was permanent. The dress was lost. Her breathing quickened. "What do I do? Mum's going to see this. She's going to kill me." The mother's discovery. The door opened behind her. Margaret returned, holding a basket of folded laundry. She froze when her eyes fell on the ironing board. The ruined dress lay spread out like evidence of betrayal. "Emily." Her voice cut like steel, and Emily knew there was no hiding what had happened. She stepped aside, stammering. "Mum, it was an accident. I swear it was just a mistake." Margaret set the basket down without a word. Her eyes shifted to the phone lying beside the board. "You were talking on the phone, weren't you?" Emily's lips parted, but no excuse came out. She dropped her gaze to the floor. Margaret lifted the ruined dress, the fabric sagging around the scorched patch. "Do you have any idea how much this cost? Do you have any idea what responsibility means? I gave you one task." "One." Emily whispered. "I didn't mean to." Margaret's tone sharpened. "It's not about meaning to. It's about carelessness. And today, you are going to learn what happens when you ignore responsibility. The discipline." Margaret set the dress aside and sat on the edge of the sofa. She straightened her posture, her expression unwavering. "Come here, Emily." Emily backed a step, her cheeks flushed. "Mum, I'm 20. You can't be serious." The silence that followed carried more weight than any words. Reluctantly, Emily moved closer. Margaret guided her firmly across her lap, positioning her with practiced authority. The first smack echoed sharply in the room. Emily gasped, her hands flying to the sofa cushion for support. Each strike landed with steady rhythm, punctuating her mother's words. This is what happens when you're careless. This is what happens when you ignore instructions. Emily squirmed, her voice breaking between promises and pleas. I'm sorry. Please, I'll never do it again. But Margaret did not relent until she was sure the lesson had sunk deep, the sharp sound of discipline ringing clear in the quiet living room. The aftermath/lesson. When it was finally over, Margaret let her daughter rise. Emily stood, brushing her hair back with trembling hands, her face hot with embarrassment. She sniffled, avoiding her mother's gaze. Margaret looked at her steadily, her voice now calmer. Emily, I didn't punish you to be cruel. I punished you so you'll remember this. Carelessness has consequences. You can't go through life ignoring responsibilities. Do you understand? Emily nodded quickly, her voice low but sincere. Yes, Mum. I do. I'm sorry. I'll never take things lightly again. Margaret placed a hand on her shoulder, softening. Good. That's all I want for you to learn. The dress may be ruined, but if you learn from this, it won't be a complete loss. The scorched lavender fabric still lay on the board, a lasting reminder of the price of district. Ending section, reflection and resolution. Margaret stood silently by the ironing board, her eyes fixed on the scorched lavender dress. The shame still burned in her chest, heavier than the sting from her mother's discipline. She carefully folded the ruined fabric, her fingers brushing against the rough patch where the silk had been destroyed. Her mother watched her, arms folded, the sternness on her face softening into something steadier, more instructive. This was not just about the dress, her mother finally said, her tone steady. It was about focus. Carelessness has consequences, Margaret. If you had been mindful, this would not have happened. Margaret swallowed hard, nodding. I understand. I won't let it happen again. The room fell quiet, the faint smell of burnt silk still lingering in the air. Her mother placed a firm hand on her shoulder and gave it a gentle squeeze before turning away, leaving Margaret alone with her thoughts. Margaret stood straighter. She knew the dress was ruined, but the lesson would remain. From that day forward, she carried the reminder of the lavender silk and the sting of discipline as a warning to stay responsible, no matter the distraction.